Alrighty, here we go. Why do I drive a manual transmission car? So there's a couple of reasons for it. Oh, it almost just didn't go into gear there. There's a couple of reasons why I like to drive a manual car, why it's so much fun, why you should drive one, and a couple of those reasons are actually kind of the same reasons why some people would argue that you shouldn't drive a manual. One of those big reasons is that you have to use two hands while you're driving the whole time you're driving. And for a lot of people, that's a deterrent from driving a manual car because you can't like be texting people, you can't be on your phone, you can't be eating food the whole time while you're driving. And for a lot of people, that's a downside. But personally, I think that that's actually a good thing because it keeps you a bit more engaged with driving. It keeps your attention more focused on driving over, you know, holding your phone in one hand. The only time I don't have two hands on the wheel is if I'm shifting or if I'm talking about something, you know, like I'm making one of these videos and I'm just using my hand to, like, you know, do this kind of thing. But if I'm just cruising down the road, kind of like I am right now, I just keep two hands on the wheel. And especially if I'm driving faster, you know, say I'm going down the highway or something, or I'm trying to have a little bit of fun with my car, I never use the one hand up here, you know, gangster grip right there. I don't like that. That just doesn't give you a whole lot of control over your car. Another reason some people don't buy manual cars, don't drive manual cars, is because it can be kind of difficult to learn. But in reality, anybody can learn to drive a manual. It just takes a little bit of time. For me, it took quite a lot of time. My first, like, you know, several outings trying to drive manual, it was pretty awful, and I drove quite terribly. And I stalled it like a ton of times. I just couldn't get going in first, and then all my shifts were, you know, awfully slow. But now, of course, I've got it down, and it's the most fun thing in the world. Driving a manual also just keeps you a little bit more alert. It keeps you moving around a little bit more. And an automatic, even when you're accelerating, you just kind of sit there and step on the pedal and you go. But in a manual, obviously, you know, you're using both of your feet with the clutch with the left foot, of course, and then you're using your hands to shift through the gears and everything. It just keeps you more alert, and it keeps you a little bit more engaged with the car. That's one thing a lot of people really enjoy about manuals, is that you just have a little bit of connection to the car. Like, this car needs a driver that can drive a manual. Not everybody can drive this car, which is something kind of cool. It's something kind of fun. You're just a bit more connected to the car, which is something I really appreciate. Driving a manual also makes any car feel like it's a race car. Okay, this car is a prime example of it. This is a 8th gen Honda Civic. It's a 2006. This is the two-door coupe, so it's very lightweight. But this car has a 1.8 liter four-cylinder engine. It makes 140 horsepower. That's not a lot of horsepower, and this is not a very fast car. So in an automatic, this car's straight line speed would be quite boring. And I mean, as a passenger, it's still, you know, it's not too exciting in this car. But as the driver, you get to bang through the gears, and you're having the time of your life, even though you're going incredibly slow. But it still feels like a race car. It feels like you're going faster than you actually are, simply because you get to shift through your own gears. Something else that would apply mainly to car enthusiasts or just people that like going fast in their cars is that in general, manuals are not as fast as automatics, especially the newer cars. And a lot of older cars, if you were fast enough with the manual, you could beat an automatic all day long. But now that automatics have gotten so good, you can't beat an automatic with the manual anymore, at least rarely, you know. If I were to race this exact car but an automatic, I would lose. But I don't have a problem with that, because I didn't buy this car for straight line speed. I didn't buy this car to impress anybody. I bought it because I like it, and it's fun to drive. And that's something that I will always take into account whenever I'm buying a car. A car that I actually really want to own is a Scion FRS, or Subaru BRZ, or Toyota 86. All the exact same car. Those cars are slow, but they're still cool. You know, I love how they look. I've heard that they drive amazingly. I've never been in one, but I've heard that tall people can fit in them. I'm 6'3", so that's something I gotta think about when I'm buying a car. I can't just go buy a little Miata or anything because I know I'm not gonna fit in those. But driving a manual isn't all about just the straight line speed. It's about giving you a little bit of a better experience while you're driving your car. It's just a little bit more fun to drive over an automatic, at least for me personally. Some people prefer automatics, and that's totally fine. If you'd rather have an automatic and do nothing with your hands while you're accelerating, you know, just hold the steering wheel, or maybe you've got paddle shifters, maybe you've got the manual mode with your gear selector. It's not that manual is better than automatic or automatic is better than manual. For speed, sure, it's one or the other, but for overall just fun and enjoyment, that comes down to each individual person. So you might hate driving a manual, but I love it. I don't want to drive an automatic because I don't like that. It is also quite helpful to have a car that handles quite nicely, especially because this is a manual. You can just throw it into corners. Oh, that was a little bit of a bad shift there. But it's just a fun car to drive. This car is not gonna win any race, ever. There is like pretty much no scenario where this car would win a race. But still, it's a ton of fun to drive. I love this thing so much. See, I'm not even very quick with my shifts, but I'm still enjoying it. So, no, I'm not as fast as the next person even driving a manual. But I've got a big old smile on my face, and that's all I care about. That's why I love cars in the first place, because they're fun. That's what I love about cars. They're fun to drive, and everybody has a different car that they love to drive the best. So my favorite car, which is currently this car, that's certainly partially because I own this car, but I love my Honda Civic, and it's a sweet little car. So somebody else that hates a Honda Civic is gonna love, you know, some different kind of car. So somebody else might get in this car and go, oh, I hate this car, I hate how it drives, I hate the manual. But that's fine, because it's not their car. This is my car. And I love this car mainly because it's got a manual and it's just a fun little thing to zip around in. A few other reasons why you should own a manual transmission car is, well, I mean, obviously it's fun. I've been talking about that a lot. But a manual car is also less likely to be stolen because not everybody can drive a manual. At least here in America, not a whole lot of people can drive manual. It's kind of a unique thing to be able to because not everybody can. I know in other parts of the world it's more normal than automatic. So in that case, that might not hold up quite as well. It'd probably be just as easy to steal as an automatic. But at least if you live here in America or just anywhere that doesn't have a whole lot of manuals, your car is less likely to be stolen, which could be a very helpful thing, especially if you live in an area that maybe a lot of cars are stolen in, or maybe you have a car that's easier to steal generally, but since you've got a manual, a thief might break into your car and then go, oh wait, it's a stick, I can't drive that, never mind. And especially if you're into cars, if you're a car enthusiast, having a manual transmission car is just a better way to kind of engage with the car. Like I said earlier, it makes you feel a bit more connected to the car. You're more essential to the car driving. You also just have a little bit more control over what your car does. Obviously, if you have a sportier car, or pretty much any car with a manual mode, then you can decide when your car shifts, but you still don't get to shift through your own gears. In the manual, you know, at any point in time, you can just push in the clutch and rev it out. You can downshift to whatever gear you want, especially in an older car. You can just do whatever you want to do with it. And that's kind of nice. I don't like all the new cars, how they have, like, they don't let you do anything. This car is pretty much the exact opposite. Obviously, it doesn't have a lot of power in its front wheel drive, so you can't get into too much trouble with it, but it'll let you do whatever you want to do. If I wanted to throw it in reverse right now, I could. It would let me, which is kind of scary, but at the same time, it's kind of nice to know that it's not like the car isn't gonna keep you from doing anything stupid. It'll just let you do whatever. It doesn't have traction control either, so it's still got like ABS brakes and whatnot, so it's got the essential stuff, but it's a car that'll just let you drive it. It'll let you do what you want with it, which I absolutely love. Also, let me know what kind of car you drive in the comments. I'd like to know what my viewers are driving, if you drive a manual or an automatic, or maybe you're just looking to buy a car, maybe you don't even have one yet. I'm interested to hear what you guys are driving, so let me know. And at the end of the day, that's what I love about cars. It's just the driving experience. And for me, having a manual gives me a little bit more fun experience, at least in my opinion, over driving an automatic. So whether you drive a manual or automatic, obviously you still love driving. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, either you have a manual car or you want to get a manual car. But either way, if you'd like to see more videos about this car specifically and learn a little bit more about this car, more about this manual transmission, I've got a full playlist of videos about this car on my channel. You can click right up here on the screen for that, and I will see you over there.